Yeah, it's obviously a bit of a milestone, I guess, in my career, and yeah, you're right. There probably hasn't been a lot of players to do it to date. So yeah, I guess it's a bit of a time of reflection. I've obviously been in the game for a long time, and hopefully got a few more years left in me. But yeah, I think 75 is something to be, I guess, proud of, and yeah, hopefully I can continue and I don't know, just keep playing games of football and keep playing my role within the team. But yeah, I think it's probably something I'll look back on maybe towards the end of my career when my career's finished, as how many games I've played. But yeah, just happy to be here and playing games of football and winning.
When you switched from cricket to footy and at the Bulldogs, could you ever imagine that you'd be bringing up 75 games in these colours?
No, to be honest, I knew it was going to take many, many years to even reach 75, just sort of given the number of games we've played, and particularly in the early seasons when it was even less games. So, no, I guess when I moved from cricket to footy, I never put a limit on how many games I was going to play. I just wanted to be out here playing the sport that I love the most. So, yeah, it's an achievement, I guess, but as I said, I think I've got plenty more in me.
Does that mean 100 might be on the cards? Is that the
yeah, I think why not? Why not have an aim to try and play as many games as you can? Obviously, I'm certainly in the back half of my career, but hopefully I'm still contributing. I think and playing my role where I can. So yeah, obviously I'd love to get to 100. I think any player would love to get to 100, but it's probably a few years before I get there.
How has your game, developed since becoming in the league, and then obviously going to the Bulldogs and then getting to Port Adelaide? How has it developed, and how's your leadership developed?
Yeah, I think coming into the game I was still pretty young, and I had no aspirations to be a leader. I sort of had chopped and changed between footy and cricket, so I was sort of always touching the surface of footy, but I never sort of really dedicated myself to it like I did my cricket. So that change was nice. Obviously, my role here has changed a little bit. I'm probably playing a little bit more forward than sort of mid, and adjusting to that and understanding what it takes to be a decent small forward. It's a pretty tricky role, but I'm enjoying it because it's at least it's providing me a challenge of something different. And so yeah, I think I've sort of grown over the years. As I said, I'm getting a little bit older. The game's constantly getting quicker, and there's plenty of talent coming through, and yeah, I guess I'm just sort of trying to enjoy whatever I have left in my career, and 75 is sort of one of those milestones, and yeah, I'll just continue to keep growing as a person and enjoying being in a new group with new players and learning off them all the time, and learning a new system, which I've thoroughly enjoyed the style of footy that we've played this year, and hopefully it's exciting for people to watch, and it's awesome to be playing a part of.
You played in Premiership. Do you bring those skills to the table when you come here with the girls that are fresh and haven't achieved that? Can you give them guidance at all?
Yeah, probably not so much on playing in a premiership, but more so just being in the game for a long time. I've learned a lot of things over my 9 seasons of footy, and obviously we have a number of players in our group that are still within their sort of first to 3 years. And yeah, I guess part of me coming here is to pass on my experience and my knowledge to those who are going to play in the game for in the next 10 years. So yeah, that's part of my role. It's something that I really enjoy doing. Hopefully, my teammates are learning bits and pieces of me week in, week out. So yeah, I sort of look at that as part of my sort of job, being an older, more experienced player within our playing group, particularly given sort of the ages of our players. So yeah, I've got the experience under my belt, and it's my job to pass it on, and hopefully the girls are enjoying that.
Having played in that premiership, now looking at this team, have they got the skills to go all the way? And 4 in a row is pretty remarkable. You look like you're coming good at the right time of the season.
Yeah, there's always, you try and use momentum where you can, right? And yeah, obviously week in, week out, the goal for us is just to continue to get better and take learnings out of each week and put it into the next. And that's something that our group's doing. We're certainly hungry to get better week in, week out. And I guess that's a good mentality to have, particularly when you've got a young group where, just because we're winning games of football doesn't mean that we're done, and we need to keep getting better, particularly if we want to go and play against some of these top sides who we have played a couple this year and have fallen short. So it's sort of taught us a few things along the way, particularly when you play some of those top end teams. So yeah, I think the group's definitely got the skill, we've got the talent, we've got the hunger. It's just a matter of putting it all together for 4 quarters of footy at the moment, and yeah, that's certainly sort of the talking point at the moment.
We'll flip the switch from battling to get a win, and then all of a sudden notching 4 in a row. What's been the big change?
Yeah, I think it's probably the growth and the development of the group. Our starts probably weren't great for that middle sort of period, and we sat down as a group and had a conversation about that. We tinkered with a few things, particularly in warm-up, and we had some good conversations amongst the players around why we're not starting well, because history will show if you start well in women's football, it goes a long way to winning games. And yeah, that's probably been the biggest change in the group, is identifying that starting games of football is really important. Otherwise, you're sort of always chasing your tail for the rest of the game. So that was sort of driven within the playing group, which again is a step of growth within our young group. Yeah, starting games of football has been the change, and then it's obviously then consistently playing 4 quarters. There's been lapses here and there, and again, that's something that we've spoken about, but I guess in a way it's to be expected with a young group that's still sort of learning. And but at the same time, we're putting scores on the board, which provides us a little bit of breathing room at times, that if we do have a lapse, we're not sort of getting run over. And again, that's just growth within our playing group to be able to stick in it in that 4th quarter and have a bit of a never die attitude. And that's a bit of the Port Adelaide DNA, I think.
What does that pre-game ritual change to? Is it doing more warm-ups, listening to louder music? Is it eating more food? What is it?
Yeah, it's a good question. A lot of it was around sort of individual preparation and what is it that I guess gets you fired up before a game. Some players like listening to music and having a dance, and some players just like having a moment to themselves. Some players like getting plenty of touch on the footy. But for the entire group, it was around getting some body on. So we felt like in warm-up we didn't have enough sort of body contact, and so we've sort of changed those things up. We're doing a bit more grappling and bumping, and some handball drills where it is a bit more contested, and it sort of gets you ready for that first bounce, I guess. So we felt like we were sort of lacking a little bit of that intensity at the start of quarters, so we sort of tinkered with that in warm-up. And yeah, as we've seen in the last few weeks, we've started really well, so it's been a good change.
Just going back to yourself, there's only been a few seasons of this. It's a new comp, right?
Yep.
I can't imagine you've missed many games. You probably remember more the games you've missed the games you played at this point.
Yeah, I've only missed, I think, 3 games in my career. So, I guess that's obviously something that I've tried to look after my body as much as possible. Unfortunately, I've probably had a few injuries along my career and a little bit injury prone at times. So, yeah, I guess sort of trying to recover and look after yourself as much as possible is certainly something I've learnt over my journey. I probably wasn't as due diligent as I needed to be younger, and it's because I didn't know any other way. But yeah, I guess I've learned that sort of stuff over the time in my career, and I guess trying to have some sort of longevity in the competition. So you've got to look after yourself as much as possible.
And I guess on the big day, what's the main thing you're going to take away from the milestone match?
Oh, I haven't really thought about it too much. I guess it's just about probably the team more than anything. We want to win games of football. It's GWS Gold Coast are coming off 2 really good performances. They didn't get it done against Brisbane, but they obviously got their first win on the weekend. So they're starting to put some really good football together, and we know that. So we have to come out firing and leave no stone unturned. So I guess it's just a matter of putting some of our learnings from the last week's game into this week, and more importantly, Hamo's got her 50th game, so I'd love to get a win for her, particularly against her old side. So, yeah, probably not thinking about it too much from an individual perspective. Really just want the girls to keep growing, keep improving, and walk away with the 4 points, particularly when you get on the road.
Can you talk to Hamo at all? Like, you probably haven't played with her all that long, but
yep.
As a player and as a person,
yep.
What does she bring to the group?
Yeah, Hamo's, I guess, just a really incredible, beautiful sort of soul. She is just one of those players that gets in each and every day and just goes about her work. She's obviously worked incredibly hard in the off-season. She's one of our quicker and fitter players, and we saw glimpses of that on the weekend, particularly when she came off the bench and had a bit of a run-down tackle. I reckon it was at least a 100-metre effort, and that's the sort of stuff that we've known Hamo to do over her career, and certainly the few games that I've played with her this season. So, yeah, I think she's super dedicated to her football. She brings a lot of pace to our team, which we need. She obviously brings some experience, having played across a couple of clubs as well. So, she's just a beautiful person, and she deserves a win on her 50th game. So I have no doubt the girls will be hungry to do that for her.
Just a quick word, excuse me, on the Indigenous Round as well.
Yep.
It's a really big celebration over the next 2 weeks, and we get to wear a special Guernsey. It's
yep.
by Jazzy Stewart. But for those of us who aren't Indigenous, like, what does it actually mean for the rest of the playing cohort?
Yeah, I think obviously Indigenous Round, not only for our football club, but obviously the wider AFL community is obviously a super important round, both in men's and the women's competition. So, yeah, to obviously have Jazzy present the jumper to us is super important. It obviously has a lot of rich history within her family, and I think that's really important for us as a playing group to understand, some of our teammates' culture and their background and what's important to them. Because I guess if it's important to them, it means it's important to us as teammates. So, yeah, I think the next 2 weeks is obviously, a super important time for the competition, and obviously everybody will be wearing their Indigenous jerseys over the next couple of weeks. So it'd be great to see some of the designs and the stories that come with those, and hopefully we can put on a bit of a spectacle and make Jazzy and her family proud, given she's the designer of our jumper this season.